Yeah, baby. I want to have some fun. Look how pretty that is down there. It's like little pillows.
If something happens to that power line, our main source of power is cut off.
This is part of being on a float plane in the wintertime, being in a real wet. We can't get through here.
You just gotta reach down and unhook the fire extinguisher and knock them and beat them.
Yeah, baby. I want to have some fun. Oh, look how pretty that is down there. Look at that. It's like little pillows. Look at this. This is where I wanted to come here and ski.
I've always been a skier and came up to Alaska and just started skiing.
Look at that. Nice turn right there.
Right away, I recognized I needed to fly more, become a better pilot, and I thought, well, I'll go into business.
Drake's business is flying thrill seekers into peaks around Glacier Bay, some of the most inaccessible and forbidding mountains in Alaska. Like Drake, his clients play hard.
Flying is like skiing. You know, you're just carving a turn through the air. It's like go when you're skiing.
It's kind of a free feeling. I mean, who doesn't want to rip a turn in some fluid? It's got an essence to it. It's got a real base feeling, primal. In the human world, the only thing that comes close to that is sex. We're gonna go up in the mountains today. We're gonna take these Swiss skiers out. Oh, they're here. Is it noon already?
Hi, Greg.
Hi.
Today, Drake's taking a group of skiers from Switzerland in search of some deep powder. But high winds have scoured the steep slopes, destroying snow conditions and making each flight a deadly risk.
They've been trying to get out for a few days. The weather's been difficult. Mainly it's been clear and sunny for the most part. That's not a problem. It's the wind. They have a limited experience. Could be difficult, the idea of leaving them out there all day, and then maybe me having difficulty with winds in the afternoon when I go get them. So I've been a bit leery. So it's supposed to blow pretty hard today.
So it's okay to fly, or?
Well, it's hard to say.
Despite the poor conditions, Drake gives it a shot.
All right, we're out of here.
Okay, number 9453 Charlie, the occasional moderate turbulence below 4,000.
To get the Swiss to a great ski spot, Drake must navigate through the steep mountains surrounding the town of Haines. Then, land on a remote glacier riddled with dangerous crevasses that can swallow his plane. And when the wind's been blowing, a glacier landing is even more difficult.
The wind has been the story for the past couple of weeks and continues to be. See lots of rock, and this is not what we want.
Landing surface is highly variable. It's rough and bumpy.
A rough landing could wreck the plane, stranding Drake and his passengers far from the nearest road.
We potentially can really beat on the plane if you get the wrong sequence of soft and hard and everything. And it's bad enough if you break a plane even when you're in your shop. When it unravels and gets ugly, it gets extremely ugly. This is not like you call AAA. Makes me want to barf just thinking about it.
Drake aborts the landing. Now he must decide whether it's worth a second try. Less than 160 kilometers south in the mountains above Juneau, the high winds and snow are causing a different kind of problem. Avalanches. It's chopper pilot Dustin Carroll's job to prevent big avalanches by starting small ones.
We're heading out to do some avalanche mitigation after some snowfall that we had recently. We have one main power line that runs into Juneau here, and portions of those power lines are in avalanche paths.
Located in the middle of Alaska's panhandle, Juneau is the most isolated state capital in the country, with no roads leading in or out. In 2008, a massive avalanche took out the main power line, crippling the city for weeks. Dustin and avalanche expert Mike James are trying to keep that kind of disaster from happening again. They're on the lookout for potential slide zones.
What do you make of that?
I don't know, I'm trying to tell how old it is.
Definitely had some wind hit it afterwards, huh?
Another similar one up ahead of us there.
Just seeing some old crowns from some old avalanches through here. Get a good idea of what to expect.
They've identified the danger zones. Now it's time to pick up their avalanche-busting weapon. A half-ton machine called the Daisy Bell.
It's a device that we sling underneath the helicopter, and it produces an explosive blast and creates a concussion to try and trigger small avalanches in a controlled manner so that large natural avalanches don't develop and take out the power line.
So right now I'm just checking the fittings, the gas fittings for leaks. It's a gas exploder that basically mixes hydrogen.
It's a device that we sling underneath the helicopter, and it produces an explosive blast and creates a concussion to try and trigger small avalanches in a controlled manner so that large natural avalanches don't develop and take out the power line.
So right now I'm just checking the fittings, the gas fittings for leaks. It's a gas exploder that basically mixes hydrogen. It off. Traditionally, we've had to fill the helicopter with explosives and go through great steps to ensure that you're doing it safe. With this, all the explosive materials are contained on the Daisy Bell.
But Dustin knows dangling a half-metric-ton exploder beneath his chopper has risks of its own.
All right, we're ready, coming up. With any external load like that, it has a huge effect on the helicopter, the way that the helicopter flies. No pressure there, couple $100,000 piece of equipment on the back of a truck. If the Daisy Bell is swinging or moving around in the wind, it'll really affect the dynamics of the helicopter. Something that's always a challenge.
Over 1,600 kilometers northwest, above the Arctic Circle, pilot Zaz Staley gets ready for her own high-risk flight.
I got it, I'm on my way.
But this one has nothing to do with weather.
All right, we'll see you there. Bye. We're on our way to Norvik to pick up an Alaska State Trooper and a prisoner and transport them from Norvik down to Kotzebue, where the Kotzebue River Jail facility is. I fly for least a year in Kayana, Alaska. We're above the Arctic Circle. It's becoming more common for women to fly, and because I'm from here, a lot of the people know me already, so it's not really a shock because they've seen me flying since I was in diapers. I grew up in this airplane with my dad. He's probably been my biggest teacher, the most impatient teacher.
I think it's about time for a new engine cover. What about you?
Finally got this one broken in.
I'm constantly picking on her, and I think she hates it. How much oil did you put in?
2 quarts.
She don't like to make mistakes, maybe because she don't want me to get on her back. She's probably more worried about me than the FAA.
Guys that talk to my dad about wanting to be a pilot, my dad tells them flying's so easy they even let women do it. I think he's joking.
At a cruising speed of 225 kilometers per hour, Zaz's trip from Cayana to Norvik will take less than 15 minutes. Then she must fly the prisoner 70 kilometers west to Kotzebue.
When a trooper calls for a charter, one of the first things that runs through my mind is what shape the prisoner is in, what condition they're in, what mood they're in.
Prisoners have even been known to get violent in midair.
The prisoner took their handcuffs and put them over the pilot and was pulling up on their neck. And sometimes you just gotta reach down and unhook the fire extinguisher and knock them, beat them. Because if the pilot's out, I mean, really, who's left? I think that's what it is. I think I worry about the unknown, what could happen when you have prisoners on board. You just never know.
Sierra 736 is 9 to the northeast of Mount Norvik. Welcome to Norvik. Somebody broke the law.
Many of Alaska's remote villages have no place to hold prisoners, so alleged lawbreakers must be flown to jail.
I have mixed emotions about hauling troopers and prisoners, especially ones that are intoxicated.
I'm Ella Black, I'm from Norvik, and I'm so-called a fugitive.
Well, you're not a fugitive, Ella. You've been charged with a couple crimes today, so we're taking you to jail. So we'll go on about
parts I didn't do.
That you've admitted twice to me that you did.
No, I didn't.
And then you assaulted me, so.
I'm sorry.
Okay. It's all good.
Turn around and close your door.
I'll close it just before we take off.
We're flying in what you call it?
An airplane?
Yeah, I know that.
I don't treat the prisoners like prisoners. I don't treat them like they're the scum of the earth, because they're not. They made a mistake. So what? I just treat them like I normally would. They're people.
Well, we got a report of somebody breaking into a house and damaging some stuff. The investigation led to her, contacted her, and she basically told us what happened, and I placed her under arrest. She tried to assault me. I just think alcohol is a big problem. She's intoxicated.
When a trooper calls for a charter, I would say 95% of the incidents are alcohol related in some way, shape, or form. Usually it's something that somebody never would have done if they were sober.
Because we don't have a jail in Norvik, we just have a temporary little holding facility, and her actions led to me having to take her back to Kotzebue tonight.
I was a little worried at first, but she's fine. But the trip's not over yet.
Back near Haines, Drake Olson can't find a safe landing spot on the glacier to drop a group of Swiss skiers.
I've got my radar going right now. I'm kind of watching, feeling. We have no idea about this. Well, I have an idea about the snow. We'll go in here and take a look right now. That's pretty rough.
beautiful place, but the conditions are tough. Uneven surface, it's hard. You know, look at this one. That's hard as a rock right there. You get a little bit of loose snow on top, and then it's hard here. You get into a breakable crust. Then I'm almost down, almost to my knee. And it's just so. You got boilerplate and then deep snow, and it's just bullshit. This is some real crap.
Drake decides the conditions are too rough for another landing. The Swiss won't be skiing today.
I am a little disappointed, because if you are out here and the snow doesn't look like perfect, but it could have been a beautiful day out on the mountains, and now we have to leave again.
Drake knows that tough decisions like these don't always endear him to his clients.
There's nothing like Alaska weather and Alaskan conditions. I've never seen anything like it, and how relentless it can be. At the end of the day, if they don't like it, it's like, well, go back to your fluffy little croquet set in your backyard back in Flufftown. Adios.
High above Juneau, chopper pilot Dustin Carroll is trying to start an avalanche.
We try and go out and make these smaller controlled slides to knock down the snow and keep the conditions safe so that you don't get any real large natural avalanches occurring that could actually endanger the line itself. If something happens to that power line, our main source of power is cut off.
Dustin must hover just above the precipice with a half-metric-ton blasting device dangling below.
Are you going to want to point your nose to the north with the breeze coming down the arm here?
The Daisy Bell itself is 1,100 pounds. It can be tricky working down there in some real steep terrain, and you get a lot of variable wind in the area.
Got to be careful if it really does look like we're slinging if I go a little too fast.
You have to be in control of the situation. You have to be very precise with the helicopter. Consequences of not doing exactly that are huge.
Maybe try and get it a little lower to the snow, this wet snow.
So Mike Janes will have a controller where he actually triggers the Daisy Bell. He fills it with gas and detonates it.
10, 8, 6, 4, I'm gonna start filling here.
The first blast triggers a small slide. But to finish the job, Dustin and Mike must blast at least 6 more spots.
Yeah, so if we go like 40 feet uphill from that last shot, okay, that should be good.
You know, you should be scared of things going wrong because they can go wrong, you know, very, very quickly.
Yeah, right in that little fat spot there. Okay. 10, 8. Okay, I'm going to start filling.
The guys have cleared built-up snow from one side of the mountain, but figuring out where to blast on the other side means putting her down.
We're just landing here to dig a snow pit. They're kind of studying the snow conditions here as a possible avalanche path that affect the power line down below us.
This is sort of popped up on the radar as the next potential problem.
A lot more snow on this side.
Yeah, some pretty sketchy layers too. This stuff is like sugar down here. See how it's just pouring out of there like sugar? It's just like the classic setup for a slab avalanche to happen.
Avalanche forecaster Mike Janes must test the strength of the snowpack directly above the power lines.
If we get a big storm and we get a bunch of load on this, all of a sudden this meter thick slab, which is a pretty thick slab, If it becomes 1.5 meters, 2 meters, that's a big avalanche. There are trim lines in the trees down here that show that slides have happened on this slope before, so we kind of have to keep an eye on it and mitigate it if we can.
They're running out of daylight, and a storm is moving in. So Dustin and Mike must try for one final blast.
Take the bell out and just see what we can get to release before this next storm comes in. Seems like the kind of layer that is getting deep enough the storm's going to come in and put enough load on it and stress it. Alright, 10 meters.
But the growing shadows on this side of the mountain make it even harder for Dustin to judge his altitude.
We're using what we call a vertical reference, looking straight down at the ground instead of looking out at a horizon like we're used to seeing. So even on a sunny day, if you get on the shaded side of a hill and there's no real depth perception and all you have is a flat blanket of white and you're trying to hold the helicopter in a stationary position, it can get real tricky.
We get it, you know, like in the 3-2 meter range, it'll probably be a little bit better. Alright, nice position there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start filling. Alright.
For now, Juno's power lines are safe, and Dustin can call it a day.
Definitely gratifying work that's essential here in Southeast, and it's the reason that we fly so much around here. It's a remote area with very hostile terrain, and so the helicopter is really essential.
Above the Arctic Circle, pilot Zaz Staley is flying a prisoner to jail. The prisoner is behaving, so Zaz can finally let down her guard.
Hey boys, we'll stay under 700. We just came from Norvik and I got the AWAS on 120.00.
I'm showing in the NOTAM it's 121.0, but if Zaz says it's on 120.0, it sounds good to me.
Hey, what do I know? I'm just a woman.
Or 736, I didn't say that now.
Heading into Kotzebue now. And Kotzebue 736, we're down and clear.
Innocent until proven guilty, Ella will be held at the Kotzebue jail while waiting for bail to be posted.
Hey, where's his headset?
But for her ride home, Zaz has another passenger.
What do you say?
Thanks, Jerry!
Now on the empty leg headed home, we picked up my son Joe and we're gonna go home to Guyana. You ready to go home? I have a 4-year-old son named Joe.
Ready? Yeah. Alright.
Probably my favorite part of flying is when I can take Joe with me because he loves to fly, begging me to go every trip I have. There's multiple generations of us that keep Leastier going. Joe will be raised right into it as well, and he's got aviation in his blood. He doesn't have a choice, he'll at least know how to fly.
1,100 kilometers south in the skies above Kodiak Island, Jay Wadham is navigating a float plane.
Island Air, good morning. 8 Echo Echo.
Over an ocean so cold, it could kill a man in under 15 minutes.
We're traveling over a lot of water. A lot of people don't like it. You always try to set yourself up for success, though, and limit your exposure time over open water. That's why I carry survival suits in the life raft. Just because of how cold the water is. I don't even want to think about it. Let's talk about this when we're over land, huh?
Jay flies for Island Air, and for the residents of Kodiak, he's a critical lifeline.
You fly all different types of people out. Sometimes the people that it takes to stay out in the middle of nowhere for extended periods of time, you know, they're considered a little different, but they're just the most down-to-earth people usually, and they have a great story to tell.
I get to play my guitar to the bears. I'm thinking maybe I'll try a little bit of country and ramp. I call it crap, and they'll be attracted to it.
Today, Jay's been hired by local caretaker Pete Fust to take him to his job on an isolated island more than 70 kilometers away.
I only get there by boat or seaplane. Old salmon cannery from the early 1900s. It's now kind of a dilapidated resort that I'm the caretaker of.
It's gonna fit. We're good. We gotta make sure we got enough go juice and we'll be out of here.
But there's a storm coming in.
It's been snowing all morning and it sounds like we're gonna be flying through some snow squalls.
And the dropping temperatures are coating the wings with a potentially lethal layer of ice.
We could be paddling most of the way. Ice contacting the wings, and that's the pilot's worst nightmare.
In modern airports, de-icing is usually done with chemicals. But on Kodiak, Jay uses a more primitive approach.
Yeah, well, it's going to be an interesting flight.
All right, we're de-iced.
Center 015, visibility 3, light snow, 25,000 overcast. Temperature -1, dew point -5, altimeter 29.
We got some weird wind that's kind of just swirling in here in the basin. The GPS is not picking up satellites now. It's awesome. Back to old school.
With no GPS and a snowstorm closing in, Jay decides to roll the dice.
All right, here we go. And we're up.
Kodiak's just a hard place. Just high winds, harsh weather, and unforgiving terrain.
One of the most challenging places I've ever flown around the state of Alaska, for sure.
The weather looks bad, so Pete tries to cut the tension with some humor.
Have you heard that joke, how many Jewish Italian grandmothers does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many?
Oh, it's okay. You guys just go out and have a good time. I'll just sit here in the dark. Don't worry about me.
Pete, I'm not gonna lie, I want that 10 seconds of my life back. I don't know how you're gonna give it to me, but I want it back.
But with outside temperatures dropping below freezing, the weather is no laughing matter.
Got a little issue. Our airspeed's froze up. It's a critical gauge and we got a couple. Everything's just frozen.
Jay's airspeed indicator is frozen solid, and his GPS still isn't working. He decides to circle and hope the gauge will thaw out.
And Kodiak Tower 670 Uniform. We're making a couple turns over the basin here.
7, go ahead.
Yeah, how was your Zinky flight? They say it was all right there?
A few hours ago, I thought you had already passed all that, so I'm sure there's probably another squall there right now.
We're just gonna keep chugging on here out to Spruce Cape. We're gonna see how it looks.
When you're flying, you always want to weigh out. You get into conditions for whatever reason, and everybody gets into them, whether they say they do or don't. Doesn't matter how good of a pilot you are. Fly till you get out of it.
Okay, yeah. Doesn't look like it's gonna be happening for we can't get through here.
Okay, bring it on back. Let's just hold up.
Oh, we just got high winds and low visibility. We've gone as far as we can go. Weather isn't gonna allow us to get there.
If it just gets bad, you just don't go.
Well, I'm glad to be alive. That's life in Alaska. Try it again tomorrow.
In Haines, it's high winds that have grounded Drake Olson.
I want to get off the earth very much. You do like that. And you try not to chop off your fingers. I guess I'm in the Bermuda Triangle or some hellhole right here where my hangar is because there's power all around me. And yet the local power company wants an arm and a leg, and I just told them to stick it. And so I have a wood stove to heat the thing, and that's a whole nother job in itself, producing electricity and heat. Every day, isn't this fun? Wood, truck, hangar, outside of hangar, inside of hangar, in the wood stove. It sucks. Unload your stuff.
Okay.
Drake gets a call from some local mountaineers who are attempting a 3-week, over 100-kilometer wilderness trek to Juneau.
So yeah, we're just gonna go explore our backyard a little bit.
But the weather's changing quickly.
See, obviously to the west, it looks terrible. Clouds to the ground, pretty much. The encouraging thing is, see the light over there to the east? That's kind of telling us that if you got further back in there, that it could be a lot more light. It could actually be pretty sunny, full-on sun, clear back in there. It's a real leap of faith sometimes. Weather is everything. For us, smaller operators in Alaska, we could still get around in a lot of weather, but weather becomes a big obstacle sometimes. Man, I wished it looked a little more promising over there. Yeah, I just don't know what to think of this.
It looked good when you called. It looked like it was getting good.
Yeah, we'll just keep watching it.
Okay. Just hurry up and wait. It seems to be what happens when you're trying to fly in. In the past, I've flown in places and spent half of the time waiting 10 days before you can even get a flight. So anyway, it's just par for the course.
After hours of waiting, Drake decides to go for it.
I especially wanted to get off the Earth today. God. The Earth was not feeling friendly.
Because the skiers have so much gear, he'll have to take them up in 2 groups. He takes the first skier, Brian, in search of a safe landing spot.
We're gonna head east and see what the gods give us today. I think the gods have been toying with us. I don't know what kind of wind we got back here. We've got over knee depth of snow, and I certainly don't know what the quality of visibility is, and that's the key. It's not if you're dealing with flat light.
Flat light is my nemesis.
Flat light is when increasing cloud cover makes it impossible to judge the distance to the ground. It's one of Drake's biggest fears.
You don't know if you're 50 feet or 500 feet above the surface. I mean, it literally is like that. You know, there's a story, they were doing a tour and they wanted to land on the glacier and it was flat light and the helicopter toppled over. The company sent another helicopter. That one went, landed, and toppled over. And they sent a third helicopter, and that one went up and landed and toppled over. So, I mean, these are professional guys. They're not boobs, you know? And that just gives you an idea, like flat light is tricky son of a gun.
We might be able to go and operate right off this little hump over here. Nothing like getting close to rock when you got sinkers.
And if the flat light weren't bad enough, Drake's plane keeps hitting what he calls sinkers, powerful downdrafts that can make the airplane suddenly drop.
Boy, all kinds of tricky going on today. It's enough of a blanket of clouds to just make it all flat lighty back here.
Drake can't tell exactly how close he is to the glacier, and the unexpected wind currents could cause him to crash.
Man, it's unbelievable.
Well, home sweet glacier.
Woo!
But this landing is only the first of the day. He must unload his passenger fast and transport the rest of the ski group up here before losing light.
That should be it for you.
Cool.
Is that right?
To make the next landing safer, Drake will need all the help he can get.
Because the light might get flat and Drake might have a hard time just seeing the perspective when he comes back in, I'll take the sleds out and every couple hundred feet put a marker right next to his old tracks. And that just gives him a little more depth perception if the light just goes to hell.
The storms over Kodiak have finally cleared, and Jay Wadham has a backlog of passengers and cargo to deliver.
So the wings aren't tired on this thing, are they?
Including Pete Fust.
Looks like a nice day for flying by winter standards, because the other day it was a little dicey. A little dicey. But now it looks like there's a high enough ceiling that we should be able to get to where I'm going, which is like 45 miles north of here.
Kodiak Tower, good morning. Cessna 108 Echo Echo.
Today's run is over 160 kilometers round trip, from Kodiak to Pete's camp in Port William, then on to drop mail in Seal Bay and Katoy Bay, two isolated communities that have been cut off for days by the bad weather.
Felt a lot better than the other day. We can actually see.
That was still more fun the other day, though.
Oh, yeah. So, Pete, why'd you end up in Alaska? What brought you to this spot that we're going to in the middle of nowhere?
Well, from being a dumb farm boy in North Dakota, I'd actually gotten in 49 states by the time I was 26. And so then I had a Frisbee career and had to kind of do that religiously in the summertime.
A Frisbee career? Like Ultimate Frisbee or something?
No, the individual Frisbee, the distance, the accuracy, the freestyle, and there's 7 different events.
Really?
Once you get the bug, you know, that's what your summers are. And so from the time I was about 30, well, I'll go to Alaska sometime, but I waited until I was 55, and then I got offered this position, and I said, sure, I'm your guy.
Good deal. You definitely got the right attitude and spirit for Alaska, just to get you going, so that's great.
I appreciate what you guys do for fun and excitement. You actually get a paycheck for it, it sounds like, once in a while.
Yeah, welcome to my office. It always feels good to get someone where they needed to go, especially in a challenging environment. Water rudder's up. Because once you get them there, it's just, they're that much more excited and happy. And it's not just driving them down the road and dropping them off. It's getting them out into the middle of the wilderness, but doing it safely. Hey, we'll see you later. Finally made it. So
nice flight as I've had.
All right, well, great. We'll see you later. We'll see you next time or next week, I guess. When the job's done, you're happy about it, but the next one's waiting at the dock.
In fact, Jay still has a plane load of mail and supplies to deliver, and kilometers of Kodiak's turbulent skies ahead of him. Drake Olson rushes back to Haines to pick up the rest of a team of mountaineers embarking on an epic 3-week ski trip.
That black bag's the heaviest. After this, let me have that other bag then.
Before he loses light, he's got to get the skiers onto Meade Glacier, where their partner Brian is setting out landing markers.
He's got his old ski tracks coming in, and then every couple hundred feet, we've got some sort of marker, a sled, or a backpack down there to give him a little perspective on the snow so he knows when he's going to land.
That's a really tough call if you've gotten in like half of the group and maybe weather's coming, and so you're kind of feeling this pressure to get the group all out.
I'm like a moth. I'm looking
light.
We've got a combination of deep snow, we've got flat light. The weather's been absolutely really tough. I think we're gonna go for it. I'm gonna go right on the flats here, be ultra conservative. And we've got markers. I think this all makes sense.
When the conditions are a powder condition, it's just soft and nice. There's no harsh movements or anything. It's about as good as it gets.
The Charlie has landed.
We're gonna set the hot tub up in a little while.
The skiers will now set off on their rugged backcountry journey to Juneau.
All right, so Drake, real quick, which way to Juneau? And what?
Go down here and take a right.
Oh, okay.
At the stop sign?
Go down to where it gets really wide and take a right.
Thanks for you back in Tinseltown.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
A couple weeks.
Be careful, don't let the Yeti get you.
We won't.
Ooh, Yeti.
It's quite a business that you wonder why you're doing it, but then this romance of flying comes in, and I really would like to just float in the breeze. I wish I could have a magic carpet or something, but flying is the closest thing to it.
There's no place like home.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm totally done.
I'll go have a shot of whiskey.
We got blue sky. Haven't seen that for a couple days. You go weeks without seeing blue sky around here sometimes.
A rare break in the weather means Jay Wadham can finally deliver mail to the isolated islands around Kodiak.
There's taxpayers that are living out in certain areas that don't have road access, and so the only way to get them mail is to fly the mail.
Going to the post office for them is a little bit different than the average person there. That was the first mail one we tried to do 2 days ago. We had to turn around because of weather. So today we got a beautiful day, a little bit of clouds, but other than that it's flat, calm.
Each landing's different, you know, it's never the same. You might as well be the first person going in there because there's no tracks, there's no marks, there's nothing. Hey, Shannon.
Hi, how are you doing? Oh, bless your heart for bringing my mail sack up to
There
me.
you are.
Thank you. It's a light load today.
It is, yeah. Sometimes it's hard to understand, like, the people that actually live out there, and, you know, people are like, why would someone want to live there? You know, that's crazy. What's happening? Finally made it. Nope, we got 2.
Sweeter. I got 2 kegs of beer. Beer is for supplies. You're in Seal Bay on a Fognac Island. A Fognac Wilderness Lodge.
Beer's for sanity.
Bear hunting will be coming up in about 3 weeks.
There's your package.
Right.
Took half a year to get here.
Y'all busy today, huh?
Catch up.
Yeah.
You meet a lot of different people. You know, people that can live out there tend to be different, but they usually are really level-headed, and people that are just laid back and relaxed.
I can't get internet out here. It keeps kicking me off.
Oh, really?
For some reason, yeah.
Oh man, must be tough. At least you got internet though.
Yeah, well.
They've just found peace within themselves. They went to yoga class too many times. I don't know. It's just different. Every day is different, which makes it exciting. Makes it not a routine job.
I lost my finger the other day.
Sliced a little bit of her off.
Yeah, they sewed it back on though, so I don't know if it's gonna work yet. I was changing a steering ram in rough weather, and for just a split second, I stuck my finger in to see which way everything had to move, and everything shifted. It just went snap, pop, squirt, and blood was flying everywhere, and it was a mess.
Oh, it sounds messy.
Yeah, it was.
All right.
Hey, have a great afternoon,
Hey,
guys.
you too. Everyone got their mail and got all their supplies and got to where they needed to go, so it worked out. Flying's just a great escape. I mean, it's just, you're up there, you're free, you're by yourself.
Way comfortable in the air. down on the ground is where I tend to mess up a little.
When you get home and crack that beer, that's the best part of winter flying. When you're done.